G'day, single malt lovers. Andy here. I'm going to do a different whiskey today. We need to have a conversation about peat. Now, peat comes from bogs. Very salubrious place to start, is it? But a bog is a bit like a swamp found in Ireland, particularly on the island of Islay. And on this windswept, God-forsaken place, there are these bogs of peat, which reek, stink, but they stink good. And on the island of Islay, where the wind comes in from the North Sea, cold and brisk, you need fireplaces to keep you warm. There's not too many trees, so all that's left to burn is this peat from the bogs. So what do they do? How do they get around this? Well, when they burn the peat, it's just sort of like coal, an early primitive type of coal, but it has a smell far more pleasant than coal and can be tolerated in a domestic environment. Moving forward from that, the peat is also burned to dry out the barley, because barley is harvested in summer, or autumn actually, and is dried, but sometimes it gets wet. And when it gets wet, it starts to bloom, known as malting. So the barley actually starts growing and it changes its sugar properties to into malts, which are simple sugars that the new plant can use to make another barley plant. So they heat up the barley seeds, dry them out with peat, or burning peat to make the heat, and then the barley stops growing, but it retains that sugar content. And that sugar is called malt, and that's used to make malt whiskey. So peat and whiskey go hand in hand in certain places, and particularly in Ireland. So there's a lot of talk about peat. Now, peat gives Islay whiskies its distinctive flavour, which are not universal in all of the Islay distilleries these days, but it has been in the past. But some distilleries that are really well known, they actually love the peat, and that has become their trademark. If you think of Lefroy particularly, Lagavulin, they are renowned as very high peat whiskies from the island. But you've got other whiskies like Bunnahabhain that don't have any, if any. So, rough rule of thumb, if it starts with a B, it doesn't. If it starts with an L, it does. Pretty rough. But Bruichladdich is another Islay distillery that doesn't really use a lot of peat, although they have exceptions. So we come to this. There is independent bottlers, and independent bottlers love to do crazy things with whiskey. These guys are a great bottler of whiskey, really care about the stuff, and we've actually tasted a few of their whiskies before that they distribute out of North America and India, so you might be able to put names to them. Really great whiskies in their own right, and because these guys know a lot about whiskey, they do blending. Now, blending is an art more than a science. It comes down to taste and flavour and creating flavour profiles. So you might marry young whiskey for its fruity zestiness with older whiskies for that maturity to give overall a very interesting and balanced flavour profile. So in doing that, these guys, they've sort of come up with this experimenting with the flavours and doing it in the laboratory, and they even bottle it in a sort of a experimental jar that you might see an old, I don't know, an insect preserved in or something in your high school science classes. But they tend to use pure alcohols or formaldehydes to do that. Whereas this has got whiskey. Now I'm just gagging to take the cork out of this, but I know as soon as I do, it'll be lots of peat because it says so on the label. Let's have a look. It's a bit stuck. Got it. Hello, there it is. A bit more elegant than I was expecting. Prevalent. Oh, big. Lots and lots. Lots and lots of lovely peat. And you don't really need to put your nose in the glass. It jumps out and says, knock, knock, knock. Hello, I'm here. Lovely. It is still quite elegant, but I want to get in and see what else is in there. Okay, I can smell that really, so it's a non-age statement of whiskey, but I can smell some young whiskey, that real lovely fruitiness, barley sugar that's jumping out. Oh, it's making my mouth water. Okay. Not as much, actually, yeah, okay. Wow. A whole kaleidoscope of flavours just happened there. So initially I was expecting sweetness right at the start on the tongue. It didn't happen. It went straight to the mid-palate. And then there was lovely nuttiness and creaminess then. And then the smokiness came through. So think about bacon and twice smoked ham. If you're one of those people who smoke ham at Christmas time and like to roast the ham in the oven, it's that aroma that comes through, and it's fantastic. Great. And then there's a dryness. It's a really good dryness, like a red wine tannin. And then the smoke and the real strength of the peaty flavour comes back up and washes all the way back to the front palate and creates a sweetness. So it's a full circle. You don't get the sweetness on the tip of the tongue. You go through the mid palate and you get a nice big punch of flavour, the dryness, and then the roll of the smoke and the peat comes all the way back and delivers a really nice sweet edge that leaves the palate dry, but kind of a sweetness that you just want to go and have another sip. So I'm going to. Give it a go. Lovely. Good to get some peat in here. Hope you enjoy it.